Welcome to the Metal Detecting Podcast, brought to you by XP Metal Detectors. We're digging the plugs and pinpointing the topics you want to hear. Now here's your hosts, Dave Kimball and Grant Hansen.
This show is brought to you by XP Metal Detectors. XP Metal Detectors is a high-end, innovative metal detector company with high-end metal detectors, coils, and pinpointers. For more information, go to xpmetaldetectors.com. For a dealer near you, try a Google search or go to xpteamusa.com. Hello and welcome to the Metal Detecting Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Kimball, coming to you from Central Oklahoma, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Grant Hansen, coming to you from New Jersey. How you doing, Grant?
I'm doing very well. How are you, Dave?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's good. How's early fall treating you?
Oh, we had a bad week last week. We had a big ice storm come in just out of the blue, this off-the-wall ice storm in October, and it knocked a lot of trees down and a lot of power lines down, and we lost power for about a day. Then it came on for about half a day. Then it came back off, and it was off for about 4 days, 3 or 4 days. So
oh, man.
It wasn't fun.
No, it doesn't sound like it. You know, that happened in New Jersey a few years ago where it was like a Halloween ice storm. And because all the trees still had leaves on it, it wasn't ready for winter. I mean, it just, trees fell, took out power lines, similar situation.
Oh, yeah. I still got a big mess of trees all around my house. I still need to get out and start cutting. I've been just really busy with work and this and that. I haven't had a chance to really get out there and do a whole lot. I just kind of cleaned up a little spot for the cars, but I probably be doing that this weekend.
Yeah, I was out getting rid of all the leaves, and by the time I got done, it was almost all covered all over again. So just be a constant battle until the snow comes.
Oh, yeah. 2020 strikes again. I wonder how this rest of this winter is going to be like.
I don't know, but I'm taking advantage of the weather while we can. I mean, the past couple Fridays I was trying to get out with my friend James to detect, and it was just rain just constantly. So we had to cancel, but we wound up getting out this week, and it was beautiful weather. It was a weird day, though. It started off at 34 degrees, but by the time we finished, it was 64 degrees. So it changed 30 degrees over the course of 8 hours.
Yeah, that's that time. Yeah. So how did that outing go? Did y'all find some good stuff?
I found some decent stuff, and, I would say, I had a pretty good day, but James, oh my God, he lit it up. He's fairly new to using the Deus, and I set him up with my Magnum program, and, man, first he finds a toneback button, which is, around 1700s. And then he goes on to find a real, one real that's folded perfectly in half, but beautiful silver real. And then a couple hours later, he pulls out an 1833 capped bust dime. It's like, God. And I'm mostly pulling up aluminum shards, and he was pulling up his fair share of aluminum too, but he just got over the right signals, and he had an amazing day.
Wow, yeah, that sounds like an amazing day.
Yeah, I didn't even get to mention. She found a Excelsior, a New York militia button, some other horse tack and buttons, and I found like a bridal rosette, half a toneback button. I found a wheat penny and a memorial penny. Those were my 2 coins for the day.
Yeah, I got out earlier, right before the ice storm, with a buddy of mine out here. He had a connection that was a realtor, and he bought this old abandoned apartment building downtown. And so we went out and hunted around that, and it was just trash, beer cans, trash, more trash. Didn't really find anything. I think I found a couple of pennies, and that was about it. But I found a lot of bottle caps and just a lot of trash.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to deal with that, and that's the way it goes, right?
Yep. You never find any treasure unless you dig a good share of trash.
Right, exactly. Later tonight in the show, we are going to announce the winner of a really, really cool black camo Relic Elite pouch given to us by Omega Mill. So we're excited to give that away.
That's right. Yeah, and the black camo pouch is his newest addition to the Relic Elite pouches, and it's very cool looking. I mean, it's it just stands out. It's really neat, and they're sturdy as all can be. So whoever wins that is going to be a lucky guy or girl.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so good luck to everybody, and we'll announce the winner later in the show.
Yeah, and today we get to talk to Terry Shannon. We bring him back. We talked to him before. You might go back and listen to that show also, and then listen to this. He was in the midst of writing his book on the last show, and now it has been released, and now he's talking about a new book that he's working on and about to release.
Yeah, he's been writing up a storm. First it was Detecting the Treasure Coast, and now he's coming out with Metal Detecting the Ottertail. So really excited to speak to him. He's a great storyteller, has found probably more gold than I'll ever see, and should be a good conversation.
Oh, yeah, this guy's great to talk to. He's a wealth of knowledge, and when we come back, we'll get right with Terry Shannon.
All right.
This segment is brought to you by Omega Mill Pouches, the official digging pouch of XP Team USA. If you're looking for a rugged, hunt-tested, washable pouch, look no further than Omega Mill. Get on eBay and search Omega Mill Pouches. That's OMEGAMILL.
Hey guys, RC here with XP Team USA. If you want to sit back, relax, and just watch some fun and entertaining detecting videos, head on over to YouTube and search for my channel, RC's Dirt Therapy. I promise it will be worth the subscribe.
Tonight we'll welcome back a fantastic guest. He is the author of Detecting the Treasure Coast and soon to be released Metal Detecting the Ottertail, plus much more. Please help us welcome back Terry Shannon. How you doing, Terry?
Doing real well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming back to the show. I'm very excited to talk about your book. But first, I just wanted to talk about someone special in your life, because I think this is a really, really good milestone. You and your wife have been together for 61 years now. What has that meant to you to have someone like Jean in your life?
I tell you, it's actually kind of a miracle. When Gene and I got married, I was going into the Navy right away, and we wanted to get married before I left. And there was another young couple that got married at the same age as us at the same time, and our minister got up and a week later and announced to the congregation he'd never marry anybody that young again. And most of us, the other fellow, he passed away, but Gene and I have 61 wonderful years, and we're just enjoying life to the max. I mean, the good Lord has been really good to us, too.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. Yeah, so what was your first date like? I hear you showed up without a car?
When I was young, I was kind of a little bit wild. Well, I was really wild, actually. And my father apparently thought that I, shouldn't be running around in a car. And we were at a basketball game, and he came and took my car and took it home. Didn't say anything to me. And of course, I asked Jean to go home with me, and went out in no car. And she lived about 3 blocks away, so I could have walked her home. And my parents' place was probably about 10 blocks. And I run all the way home to get that car and come running back or driving back. And here's the poor Jean is just standing out there all dark, all by herself. And, it just went on from there. And it's just, she waited, on that date. I always tell everybody she waited on that date. And then she waited for 4 more years while I was in the Navy, and I'm so darn glad she waited. And we just, life is so much better, really, if you have somebody to share it with.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She's very supportive, my metal detecting and that, and she was quite shy, and we give a lot of talks on metal detecting and that stuff, and she just does a wonderful job. I mean, she's really interested.
That's great. And since that first night that, you had to run back and get your car, and I'm sure over the years the cars have changed many times, but she's still traveling with you. She went up to Minnesota with you this summer, right?
Yeah, we have, our home is in Minnesota. We have I tell everybody I'm married, we're from Freese, Minnesota. It's 50 miles straight east of Fargo, North Dakota. And I tell everybody, that I married a Freese girl and we had Freese kids. It's just, that's our home. And then we started staying on the Treasure Coast. We had a fifth wheel camper, and we started camping down here. I was really excited about the 1715 fleet. I had stopped at the museum and seen all that stuff and really wanted to detect it. And she was going to go over to Japan and visit our son over there. He married a Japanese girl and was stationed over in Japan. And I asked her if she wouldn't mind flying out of Orlando. I wanted to detect the Treasure Coast. And she agreed. And when she came back from her trip, and, I met her at the airport and said, we're not leaving. And we've been here for 15 years now. So we just winter in Florida and spend our summers in Minnesota.
That's great.
It's a wonderful life. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to see some video of you detecting some rivers with the Minnesota Beach Boys. So did you teach some of them boys some of your valuable tips?
I think what they did is they probably taught me. I really, those two guys are great. They really are, and they're just good people. And in visiting with them, there's a thing called the wraparound effect that I didn't understand. And of course, Al, he explained all that sort of stuff to it. I actually added some of that in this last book that I wrote. All right. They're good guys. Real good guys.
Yeah, and if anyone hasn't seen those videos, John, they're live on the XP Team USA YouTube channel, so check it out. They're really good, and honestly, they make me feel like I need to give up the dirt for a while and get into those rivers and find all those rings. I mean, you guys just, you don't have enough fingers for all the rings you find.
Yeah, I've done really well on the rings. When I first started detecting that river up there, the first few years, I was finding 80 to 100 rings a year in that river.
Wow.
And, I mean, these are good rings. I mean, I have one that I think if my wife was just showing somebody tonight, I think I pays it like $12,000. I've got a lot of them, a lot of good diamond rings in it. And I've returned quite a few, too. That if we can find the owner, we get it back to them. But what's so neat about that river is when I was growing up, we lived on a farm right at the headwaters of that river. And I spent a lot of time playing in it. And, now I'm 79 years old, and I'm still playing in that same river. Kind of a special place.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to look at the book?
I did, yeah. So, I can't say I read it cover to cover because it wasn't enough time, but I read the different stories. And what I liked about the way it's written is it's in bite-sized chunks. I can go through it. The chapters are, I was telling Dave before we got on the call that, the way I read, by the time I get to bed or to the couch at night, any book I pick up or any magazine, I get 3 pages in and I conk out, right? I'm just tired. So I think that the way you have the chapters set up in those, like I said, bite-sized pieces were perfect for me. Yeah. So, how does playing in the river, like you said earlier, compare to your adventures down on the Treasure Coast?
Well, that's just it. I've got the best of both worlds. I was out on the Treasure Coast today, and we had a storm come in yesterday, and there are high waves, and there's a storm out in the Atlantic, and it really moved some sand. Today, I dug 88 musket balls.
Wow.
I mean, that's a lot of musket balls.
Yeah, it is.
And I got 7 out of 1 hole, but I was getting beat up. But it's just so rich in history, and because of this metal detecting, people I don't think realize it, but the real treasure is the exercise. I mean, I'm 79 years old, and today I was competing with probably 10, 15 people that were half my age, and I can keep up, and it's because of the exercise you get out there and the friends that I've made. It's just been unreal, there's just no downside to this hobby, none whatsoever.
Oh yeah. So you said you're there at the Treasure Coast now. How have the record number of hurricanes been treating you on the beach?
Actually, I'm probably, I jokingly tell everybody that I'm the only fellow down here that prays for bad weather. What they do is they have and I think it's almost criminal what they're doing, but they replenish the beach, and they convinced everybody that what they're doing is they're pumping sand in from out deeper and putting it up on the beach. And that's not true. I mean, they do have the pump out there, but they got tons of trucks coming from these gravel pits and, putting it on. And it's not good sand. And they put all this sand on, and they did it last year. I mean, they put 6 feet of sand up on the beach, for miles. I don't know how many million that said. And it didn't even last a year. I mean, they were putting this sand on when I left in May, and here when I come back in October, most of it's already gone. And what happens, it gets washed out, and it covers up, the first reef, and that'll smother the reef, and I just don't see any good side of what they're doing. And I plan on doing it again this year. They're spending millions, and we have to close schools down because we don't have the money, and yet we're pumping sand on the beach. It's just ridiculous, But then I metal detect, so that makes a big difference. I have a vested interest in that too.
So when they're pumping it out, are they pumping up some good stuff for you?
No, and I really screwed up there. They had the pump right, I'd say like a half mile from our house here. And I go over and I said, what are you doing when you pump this stuff in? And they have a great big, kind of like it looks like a double size of a garbage container, one of these big ones that they do. And they pump it into that. And the thing is it's a great big screen. And then anything that they pump out is caught in this thing. And then when it's full, they load it up and take it out to the landfill. And, I found out about that, just before we left to go home in May, and if I knew that, I'd have been behind that truck when they were heading for the landfill with my metal detector. I mean, anything that they dump in that landfill is gone forever.
Wow. So they don't sift through it. They don't look for anything valuable or historical, huh?
No, they don't. It just they don't care. Most of these people that are coming down here, and I don't understand that, but a lot of them are from New York and New Jersey up there. That has the company. They're not Florida residents. It's not helping our economy in any way, shape, or form, and they just don't care. But I'll tell you an interesting story about one of the second or third year that I was down there. They were replenishing the beach, and I was down at a park called Bond Steel, and I'm detecting, and one of the guys on the bulldozer down there was pushing his sand up, and he stopped and asked if I was finding anything. And I told him no. I said, it's too deep. I said, why don't you take your bulldozer and dig a deep pit? And when you do that, I'll go in with my metal detector and we'll split whatever we find. He dug 3, this would be a great story if I'd have found something, but he dug 3 pits for me. And I gave him everything I found, but I didn't find anything real good. But it was kind of a neat thing.
Wouldn't that be nice to have some acres of land and have a contract with them where they can just dump all that dirt on your property?
Oh, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. I'd be out there. See, in 1715, there was 11 Spanish ships, treasure ships that come up. And the hurricane sank all 11. It was actually 12 ships. There was one French ship that got ahead of them, and they didn't even realize the rest of them sank. And all these ships sank close to shore, and they've only found 6 of those 11 ships, and the average salvage has been $41 million per ship. And the 7th one is right out in front of where Gene and I live. It's at 600 yards out. It's in 43 foot of water. In fact, the very first Spanish coin, I believe, come from that ship. And when they did a news release on this thing, and they were saying they found a pistol and a boarding sword and some silver platters, and they said a coin dated 1701, and that coin they were talking about is the one I found. So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. So is now the good season to be down there? Is it the right time?
Actually, after no, it isn't. This is probably one of the slower times. But the weather, we've had so much activity in the tropics and that stuff, and we've got another storm coming in on this weekend that may affect us. And it just, when a storm comes in, if we get winds that come out of the north or northeast, and you get the high waves and you've got a full moon, so you got the plus tides, it erodes the beach, and that's that's where you find all the good stuff, is when you can get rid of some of the sand. Otherwise, you're out there swinging your detector all day long and you're walking over all kinds of treasure, but it's down 4 or 5 feet and you can't reach it.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear about that coin I found last fall or last May, or the spring before I left?
Yeah, you told us about. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's 50 years after Columbus.
Oh yeah.
That was kind of exciting.
So you're finding all these musket balls and the Spanish treasures and all that. When you comes to finding Spanish treasures, are you just finding that near the ocean on the beach, or are you finding any of that Spanish treasure in the land in Florida as well?
No, it's all on the beach, and where we live now, I can go in the water. I can detect in the water, and normally the waves are just so high that you can't do it, But down farther south, where they have these admiralty rights where the guys are salvaging the ships, you can't go into the water. You can't metal detect in the water. And you can't go up on the dunes, so anything on the beach is fair game. But that's the way it works. And that's all you really need, because last year I have a friend, Jerry, and just a wonderful young man. In fact, he's younger than my kids, and we kind of formed a partnership. And last year we found 5 8 reals. That's the Spanish coins, the big ones, laying right on top of the sand. And it was during like a full moon, and we're getting these surges, and it's just the one coin that I found is just a beautiful coin. And when the detector went off, I looked down, I could see it laying there. So
yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
So you've got your next book coming out, and congratulations. It's called Metal Detecting the Ottertail, plus much more. Is that right that it's going to be available this week?
Yeah, I downloaded it this morning into Amazon, and they said that it'll be available within 72 hours. And then tomorrow morning I will download the email or the e-version of it. And they've already gone through it and everything. Like the last one, I think I was on the cover. I was on number 13. They're pretty fussy about what And what happened is I was 1/15 of an inch too close to the edge in some of my lettering, and they rejected it. And it was kind of funny because I was trying to get that corrected, and I was having trouble with that. And just for the heck of it, I sent the one that they rejected back in, and they took it the second time. But this one, everything was fine. So it might even be quicker than the 72 hours. And as soon as that comes up, then I'll send out on Facebook, and I have an email list of the link, to get to the book. And, it's about, the first section is about me detecting the river in the Ottertail River. But also, up in my area there, we have a trading post called the Red River Ox Cart. It's a Red River Ox Cart trading post. And back in the old days, these Frenchmen married, these Indian gals, they were called them Matisse, and they made their living by just shooting buffalo and taking these buffalo down to St. Paul, which was called Pig's Eye at that time, and that's how they made a living. And what happened, I think it was in 1844, the Indians, kind of went on the warpath. They were just killing too many buffalo. And there was a big train of these wagon train of these ox carts stuck down in Minneapolis or in St. Paul, and they had to find a new way home. And they come through our town, and they apparently built this trading post. And the farmer called me up and invited me out there, and I've got an exclusive on it. I mean, I'm the only guy that goes out there, and so I talk a lot about that. And then I have another. There's an old wagon trade road, and there was one of these early cabins. And then what they did is they actually built a church, and I think it was 70 Adventists for the church, and then they put a school in there. And there again, I had exclusive rights on it, and so I found some really neat things out of these places.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And I tell you, I use the XP disc out there. And I started detecting this trading post in 2002. And every year I spent a lot of time out there. I mean, I just love that place, And I went out there this year with the Deus, and it's amazing the amount of stuff that I was pulling out of there. It was just really amazing. And I have an email list. I sent it out. But one of the things that happened this year, I hit this kind of an iffy signal, and I dig down, and it was a bottle. And then below this bottle was kind of a metal plate. And, so I grabbed my detector, I have a little hole down there with my little what do they call them, lèche, or then a knife, that they dig with. And I grabbed the detector and I run it over the hole, and it just screamed. And of course, I'm thinking, my God, that there's a tin can that you busted open and all these silver coins are down there. I just couldn't believe it. Oh, I'm digging like mad. I grabbed the detector and run it again, and boy, the detector just screamed, and I got that plate out, and there's a bunch of other stuff down there. Then I realized I had a knee replacement last year. Boy, does that knee ever sound nice on the detector.
Oh, man.
Well,
that's funny. Did
but
you?
That that machine is remarkable. It really is,
How was it adjusting to using a new machine like the Deus? Was it easy for you to pick up right away?
Because of the Minnesota Beach Boys, yeah, they helped me get it set up. And I would say that I know maybe 10% of what that machine can do, and I was very happy with that. Now, one thing with the Deus out is if you go online, go into your computer, my gosh, you've got all kinds of how-to videos that'll walk you through these different things. And I think on the Deus, there is a learning curve. There's no question about that. But, I mean, you walk everybody through it. And, and you continue to do that. And that's a good thing. I'm so far, I've been very, very impressed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Am I making sense?
Yeah. The best part about it for me is you can have it for a very long time and still continue to learn something new with the machine, But,
I mean, you're right. I'm learning stuff all the time with it.
Right. And so I know you kind of answered this question with that, but you have a chapter dedicated to this topic also. But can you tell us why you think metal detecting is the best hobby?
Well, first off, it's the exercise. I was in law enforcement and I was a county sheriff. I had to get elected every 4 years. I was a top gun, and we had guys retire, and we'd have a big party for them and we'd roast them, give them a jacket and stuff like that. 3-4 years later, I'm a pallbearer, and then after I retired, I ended up going back as a police chief, and the same thing happened there, and the guys that just give up, that sit and watch television all the time and that stuff, they're dying every day, and the people that go out there and with the metal detector, you have some goals, you're excited about it, and, the exercise there's no downside. There really isn't. And like the detectors that I bought over the years and that I've had don't owe me a dime. I mean, I have found so much stuff. I'm so far ahead of the game, it's just unreal. But a good example is I think it was last year, this fella come up and asked me what I was doing. And, I explained everything to him. And he said, well, I'd really love to do that. He said, but I'm just too old. And I asked him, I said, how old are you? He was 62 years old. And I was 78 at the time, but he just, he was overweight. He looked like he was 90. So that's one of the big things. And my gosh, I tell you, when you pull out a coin, like when I got that Carlson Wana 1544 coin, nobody's held that, for almost 500 years. I'm the first person to touch that coin. When you have that in your hand and you look at it and you realize, what you're holding, I mean, that's really a thrill. It really is. And what I did is I'm kind of a talker and a storyteller. And that's why I wrote all these books and to tell the stories. But my wife and I, we gave talks at different groups or Kiwanis or Rotary and I did that for selfish reasons. And first off, I enjoy talking about it. But when you give these talks, everybody out in the audience will say, hey, come over to my place or just give you some leads and stuff like that. And the friends that I've made, I had another point there and it just slipped my mind, but it's just a win-win thing, And giving these talks, I talked about it in the book, that I gave a talk to a small group. There was probably a dozen people there. But the newspaper did a story. I took some pictures of me. And now, everybody who subscribed to that paper knew the Terry Shannon metal detector. And it was, I think, 2 or 3 years ago, I asked this landlord, he had a whole bunch of property, if I could detect on his property. He said, sure. So I'm over there. He had an empty lot and detecting. These 2 young kids come over. And, they asked me what I was doing. I said, well, I'm metal detecting. They said, well, don't you think it'd be nice if you'd ask permission first? And I was just shocked. I said, well, I did. I talked to, and they said, well, who'd you ask? And he said, Leroy Felt. He said, well, my dad owns this place. He said, Leroy doesn't own it. I was at the wrong spot. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize. My name is Terry Shannon. I said, I'll leave right away. And the young kid said, well, you're Mr. Shannon? He said, my mom said if it was Mr. Shannon out there, you could detect. I had never met the lady, didn't know her at all. And I had to go over and talk to her. And I said, I can't believe that, you said that I could detect and you didn't even know me. And I said, why did you do that? And she said, well, that's what you do. So she had heard of me, and so it's just so important that we, promote this image, this positive image of what we do.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm off on a tangent again.
No. But you speak some good stuff about the positive image.
And we'll be right back with Terry Shannon.
We all know if you want to find good treasure, you've got to do research.
HistoricAerials.com is one of the premier places to do that research. They've got the world's largest collection of United States historic aerial photos. You can compare pictures from year to year and see how topography and structures have changed over the decades. It's like having your own personal time machine. Make sure you're swinging your coil in the right places. HistoricAerials.com is free to use, but they also have subscriptions with awesome tools to help you track down treasure. Check out HistoricAerials.com. It's a real find.
Hi, this is Dave D.
Hi, this is Sonia.
R.C. Dunn.
This is Alan. We're the Minnesota Beach Boys.
This is David Kimball.
This is Grant Hansen.
Lynn Quelland.
Cameron Macer.
Pete Surratt.
And we are
XP Team USA.
You're listening to the Metal Detecting Podcast.
And we're back with Terry Shannon.
Being back home and about your new book, The Ottertail. It's a river that runs along northern Minnesota. Can you tell us some of the history that it holds?
Yes, our area up there, it's kind of right by the edge of the Red River Valley in there, but it was part of the Louisiana Purchase. And when the Louisiana Purchase, which was kind of interesting, I just found this out a couple of years ago, Spain sent over a ship going to buy all this land, and the ship sank. And had that ship not sank, well, we'd be Spanish right now. But anyway, they purchased all the land west of the Mississippi River, and they they confused the Red River of the North with the Mississippi. And that was confused for a while. And as a result of this, everybody was claiming, the French were claiming the land, the English were claiming it, we claimed it. And so we were one of the last areas to get settled. And the Ottertail comes down and it goes into the Red River and it goes back up north. So, and it was used, for logging way back in the day. They had these great big white pines, and what they would do is, they'd timber all this land and then take the logs out on the lake, and in the wintertime, and then when the ice thawed, the logs would start floating, and they'd float them down the Ottertail River. But the river wasn't big enough, so every mile they'd put a dam in and raise the river, and the logs would float to this dam, and then they'd blow the dam up, and down they'd go to the next dam. And so it's got a mean history, and so when I'm detecting, you've got the tubers that have been tubing in there for about 30 years. You got the loggers that were in there for, many, many years. And then you have the old pioneers, the traders and trappers. So, I found Indian heads in there. I found, arrowheads. I found musket balls, and I'm finding jewelry. It's kind of a neat thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, those are pretty cool finds. What other finds do you find in that river? Do you find any old coins or anything like that?
I haven't found a lot of old coins. I found they used to have, for the loggers, they used to have it was kind of a floating shack is what it was, where they ate, and it was called the Wanigan. And in the rapids, I found a huge spoon. And, apparently the saying in the Wanigan is when you got fed your noon meal, everybody got a spoonful of grub. And it was a spoon from that Wanigan. And then of course I found, musket balls and a few arrowheads. And I've got a lot of stuff from the logging days, the old pikes and different stuff that they used when they were bringing the logs down.
Oh, wow.
So in your book, you discuss techniques like checking depth, looking for low water levels and stuff like that. What do you think is the number one thing someone should know before they get in the water with their metal detector?
Okay, well, it's kind of different between, from the river detecting and down here in the ocean. The ocean here, the key is being able to read the beach, look for the low areas. And I still get, when I go out in the morning, unless I know where I'm going, when I know that there's a low area, Jerry and I will split up and we look for an area that's been washed out or the sand has been moved. In the river, it's kind of different. When you're tubing in the river, you don't have much control over that tube. You just float. And so the majority of the finds in the river are found, closer to shore, because when they kind of drift close to shore, they start paddling out, to get back in the middle of the river. And of course, when the hands go in, that's when the rings come off. And, if there's a bend in the river, the tubes will automatically go to the outside of that bend. And of course, that's your prime area. And then I found, like in the rapids, I hunt a lot in the rapids, and I found an area below the rapids that was just loaded with stuff. And, I'm thinking, all this stuff washed down from the fast water. And a bunch of guys, I was sitting there one time watching them come down, and what happens, they go into the rapids as a group, and then it gets split up in that fast water. And then when they got down to the bottom where the water slowed down a little bit again, they started paddling to join up again. And therefore the hands are in the water, and there's where the rings are, So it's a little bit of, I shouldn't say science, but, it pays to just kind of think ahead a bit.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. So while you're not specifically looking for them, you have found a few wallets with no cash. Do you ever? I'm sure they got a lot of credit cards and license and everything. Are you able to send these wallets back to the owners?
Yeah, I put that in the book. I found 4 wallets with no cash in it. Now, to me, that just doesn't make sense. Somebody, because you everybody has cash in their wallet, and I don't think it washed out. But on those, the credit cards and the driver's license, that stuff, I usually, if I can get a phone number, I'll call them right away, but I put it in the mail and mail it back to them. So on those wallets, I end up losing money, but I also find a lot of cash. I found a Ziploc bag with, $110 in it one time. And that's, and I've seen cash floating down. I think a couple times I've gotten that $60 to $80 worth of cash floating by.
Not bad.
No, it isn't.
So your book, though, it's not all about the water. You talk about detecting cellars, yards, and fields, and you found some great things in all of them. What do you prefer? Do you prefer dry land, or do you prefer getting in the water?
I prefer getting in the water.
Yeah.
It just I started out in the dry land, and I still enjoy that. But the water, it's just something about when you're looking at scoop and there's a Spanish coin or a gold ring. It's exciting. It really is.
Yeah, I need to get in the water more. I say that every year. I don't have many swimming holes around me, but at least getting into the rivers and stuff, I think.
Mm-hmm. All these rivers, got a lot of history. What I did too on the land sites is it was nice that I was, the county sheriff, so I knew everybody up at the courthouse and that stuff. And I went in and got these old maps. And then as far back as they had it, they printed them out for me and did it for nothing too. And then I got the modern maps. And if you lay one over the top of the other, you'll find, different homesteads that are out in the middle of the field and stuff like that. And that works really well as far as, I'm more interested in the old stuff. I don't want to go to the park and find a whole bunch of nickels, dimes, and pennies. I want to find, the old stuff. And on your site, on the computer, some of the finds that your people find is remarkable. We don't, in my area, I've gotten a few large cents and but we don't get the coppers and that stuff. I'm sure there might be some around, but we were settled so late, we just don't have that. I found, 2-cent pieces and apparently that was a more common coin. I think the only thing I haven't found is a 20-cent piece.
Yeah, I think most of us haven't, but I think that would be what a find. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I'm retired, so I can devote a lot of time to it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So you're quite a prolific writer, not just in your books, but also in your regular emails where you tell stories of your latest adventures. What drives you to share such great content?
That's part of the fun. I mean, that's a big part of the enjoyment. I mentioned in the book that if I found a remarkable coin or a very valuable ring or something like that, and I was worried if somebody was going to steal it for me or if somebody would find out about it, there's no enjoyment there. And if I put it in my safety deposit box, the only time I would get to enjoy it is when I went to the bank and looked at it. So I have no problem sharing. And down on the beach, the beach changes twice a day. It changes with every tide. So I do have a problem down here with people following me, and because I've been pretty successful. And most of the time I don't mind that, but if I get into something that's really good, like when we got, I shouldn't even tell the story, but when I found those 5.8 reals, what I did is I drove 4 miles up the beach and went out on the beach and took my picture of the house in the background. And I got a call from a couple of guys, said, we figured out right where you were, and we didn't find nothing. I said, well, that's funny.
That's smart. Very smart.
And, everybody asks you, I had problems when the second day that I had a metal detector, a water detector I got, detector for the water. And the very first day I went to the swimming hole, I found a gold ring. I mean, I was really excited. The second day, I'm at a different spot, and I'm out there detecting, and these two little kids come out and want to know what I was doing. And I said, I'm, looking for rings. And he said, do you ever find it? Yes, I said, I found a gold ring. I'm bragging. I'm really excited about it. And they left. And pretty soon they come back and said their mother had lost a gold ring, and they wanted it. They thought that I had their ring. And, I didn't realize I was in trouble, yet. And, I said, no, I'm sure I don't have. I didn't tell them that I found it the day before in a different lake, I said, just tell your mom to write down what the ring looks like and her phone number, and if I get it, I'll get it back to her, see? Well, then here come four of these 19, 20-year-olds said, we got our mom's ring, we want it. I go stomping out of the water. I kind of pulled a bluff. I said, I'm the sheriff of this county. I was retired. I was sheriff there at one time. And I said, we're heading up to my office to get this resolved. And they bought it. They're in their car and never gone. And so I tell everybody that's in the hobby, don't, when you find something, don't be showing it off right off the bat. I mean, if you want to return it, you do the research and make sure you're returning it to the right person. And I also recommend take an old junk ring and carry it in your pocket. So if somebody sees you dig up something, you come over there and want to know what you found, just show them your junk ring. Right. And what I do with everybody is I tell everybody if I don't find something, pretty soon my wife's going to wonder where I'm going, and they laugh, and that gets me off the hook. But, don't show your finds out there. You can show it to them later, but I don't show them on the beach.
Right. Yeah, there's I heard somebody say not too long ago about next time you catch the biggest fish, go to your buddy's fishing spot and take a picture of your fish on there.
That's a good idea. Thank you for that.
Dave brought up your emails, and there was the recent one. I had to look at the pictures twice and read it twice because you were looking for a lost ring, and it was just a huge pile of mud. I don't even know how you'd navigate something like that. That must have been such a challenge.
I just got, before you call, I just got off the phone with her. I'm going back. She gave me a check for $250, and now I've got to go back. And I told her, I said, I don't want anything. I don't, and she just insisted. But it's, what happened, they bought that home, and there was a drainage ditch behind their place. And they were cleaning out the drainage ditch, and it's just plump full of iron and steel. When I got there, the first thing I got, I thought I had the ring, and it was a steel plate that was probably 4 foot square. And really, we weren't able to get it out. That's what the problem is. So they got pumps in there trying to pump that water out. And I'm just going to go in with a shovel and do the best we can. But it's just all kinds of iron in there. And you stick a pinpointer down there and the pinpointer goes off. But that's why we didn't find it. I mean, we're talking about a, 12 foot square area and it's in there, but there's so much other stuff in there too.
Right. Well, good luck.
She said she felt it go off her finger when she was in there cleaning that stuff up.
Yeah, so you got one book out, another one on the way. So what's the future hold for Mr. Terry Shannon?
I don't know. I wrote not a book, but a bunch of stories on my adventures when I was a policeman. And I may, put that together and put it in a book form. I had some real interesting adventures and stuff like that. And I just enjoyed, the book Detecting the Treasure Coast, that went out, I think, last May. And here I've got the second one out. And I just, at night, I'm not big on TV and stuff like that. And I just enjoy sitting down and writing this stuff. And where I'm lucky is I have an email list where I send people these emails out. And so I don't have to do a lot of research. I just have to pull out one of my emails, and I've already done that. So I may, every once in a while something, I think of something that would be, of interest. And I may write another book eventually.
That's great. And I'll remind all our listeners to, if you want to purchase either of Terry's books, they can go to Amazon.com and search by you by name. And what if they want to get on your email list? How can they do that?
They just have to contact me and give me their email address. And I get so many positive comments on that. I mean, people enjoy. I've had some people that are shut-ins, and they like this one fellow that he had some real health issues. He said the first thing I do every morning is see if there's something from Terry Shannon. He's living vicariously through my adventures. And when I was a sheriff, I dealt with a lot of bad people, and I always told everybody that there's probably a lot of bad people out there that can really whip my butt, but there's darn few that can out-talk me. I'm a storyteller, and I just enjoy it.
That's great.
Oh yeah, that's
It's
great.
fun.
Great stuff. Well, we could talk for hours and hours, but we got to stop here for now. But we would love to have you back again sometime, and we really do enjoy talking with you. Maybe even after the book comes out, after a while, we can talk about it or about your next book if you come out with one.
Well, I thank you. I thank XP Deus for the way you folks have treated me. You have a wonderful product, and you've got some great people involved with some great people. And those Minnesota Beach Boys, they're golden. They really are good people, and I was just honored that to have them as friends.
Yeah, and thanks so much for sharing your stories. It's great that you love telling them because we love hearing them. So hope to hear a lot more next time we have you on, and we'll keep your emails and your books, and we'll know all about you.
Well, Grant, I admire you too on your Facebook posts and that stuff. You are a good parent.
Oh, thank you.
I mean that sincerely. I'm not trying to just butter you up. I mean, you go the extra mile, and that is wonderful. I went in, I was in the Navy, and we had 2 children. When I got out, I had a 3-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son that I didn't even know them. And I really feel that I missed a lot. And so when I see something like you're doing, I appreciate it. And I compliment you, sir.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thanks again, Terry. Again, always a pleasure speaking with you. And keep us posted on the book release. We'll make sure we promote it all over the XP Team USA website.
I thank you. I'm the one that has to, I owe you a debt of gratitude there. Thank you so much. And anytime, anything I can do.
All right. We'll see you.
Check us out online at xpteamusa.com.
If you are in the market for a new pinpointer, then check out XP's MI6 pinpointer. Waterproof up to 6 meters, 2 audio modes, picture poles, 3 levels of sensitivity, rechargeable lithium battery, 7 programs to choose from, 7th program being connectivity to your machine, allowing 50 levels of sensitivity and recovery mode for your MI6. For those on a budget, check out the MI4 pinpointer with all the same options except for connectivity. So find an MI6 or an MI4 pinpointer through a dealer near you. All right, we're back, and that was Terry Shannon. What a great guy.
Really, really good guy. And, his new book, Metal Detecting the Ottertail, I've got an advanced copy. It's really, really good. Like I said during our conversation with him, a lot of the stories are bite-sized chunks, so you can read it a little bit here, a little bit there, and he's got everything from hunting and stories, tips. It's a great book.
Yeah, I am looking forward to getting my hands on that book. I will have to buy that book and start reading it.
Yeah, it could possibly be out now as we're talking. Just keep going to Amazon and search for Terry Shannon just to see when it's available.
All right, yeah, we'll do. Also, we got a bunch of new YouTube videos here out for XP Team USA, and Gary even has a new video out.
Yeah, so on XP Team USA, we've got a video that I submitted. It's some tips on working through heavy iron, which is usually what I'm detecting in, so I'm quite familiar with it. Gary's got a video on his channel about digging deep targets, and he's also got a new video. It's kind of different. It's he's reviewing a jacket that he seems to like. So you guys might want to check that out if you're looking for some new weather gear.
I haven't seen that yet. Did he do the rain test like you did?
He did not do the rain test. It's not a rain jacket, but he did do the wind test. He gets on his motorcycle and takes it for a spin to see how he held up in the wind. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
This was an excuse for him to show off his motorcycle, wasn't it?
Exactly. Right. And Cameron Mazer, if you haven't seen his channel, go check it out. He's got a new video out where he and his friend are out digging, and they found some really good stuff.
Oh, yeah, right. And I know Cameron has been working on a commercial also for the XP Team USA store. Y'all should go check it out for all the swag. If you want a new shirt or a hat, XP Team USA, any XP gear, go check us out on the XP Team USA store.
Yeah, I just got one of the Flex Fit hats myself, and oh man, it's just wonderful. It fits great.
Go to our new YouTube channel called the Metal Detecting Podcast and give us a subscribe and give us a like on this show. We are trying to build up some more subscribers on that channel, because we just moved over to our own channel, and all our old shows have been uploaded on there. So go on there and give us a subscribe.
Yeah, we'd really appreciate the support there. And, speaking of the YouTube channel, last show we were holding this contest to win the Omega Mill Relic Elite pouch in the black camo pattern. And you had to go to Facebook and subscribe and comment. And we are ready to announce the winner of that contest.
Oh, yeah. All right. The black camo pouch, very cool looking, very sturdy, will last you a lifetime. And you'll probably end up buying another one because you just want to see a different color.
Exactly. It's probably the only reason to get a second one, because the first one's not going to fall apart.
All right. Well, so we had quite a few entrances, and now, Grant, won't you do your random number search and let's see who wins.
All right. I am going to do that. I'm going to hit the number. It is number 4, and the winner is Core Color Art. Okay, I don't have a real name on this guy or a gal, but the winner's name is Core Color Art. So if you're hearing this and listening to us, please get in touch with us before the next show to be eligible for us to ship that to you. So you can send me or Dave Kimball a message via Facebook. You can also email me at xpteamusagrant@gmail.com just to let us know that you heard this, and we'll send you off the package.
All right. Yeah. Congratulations. I am looking at their YouTube channel, Core Color Art. Really cool stuff. Really good artist. He does a lot of these planets and space and moons and really cool stuff. It's kind of the stuff you see at the fair where they put all the stuff over and spray paint it and do all that. Really cool looking stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm checking it out now too. Really cool. Oh wow, I'm gonna have to watch some of his videos. I wish I had talent like that.
Yeah, really. Oh. Well, so we have no idea. We don't have a name or anything. Like Grant said, if you don't have a Facebook page, email Grant with xpteamusagrant@gmail.com and give us your information, your mailing information, and we'll get that sent out to you as soon as possible. And if he does not contact us within the next show, we will be giving it away again.
So TikTok, you've got until our next show, which is November 20th, right before Thanksgiving.
All right, Grant, here's a question. Do we start a whole new contest, or do we just use the same names, or do we just kind of build on to the contest? How do we
think build on to it. Count their original entries and take on anything more, I think.
I think that's a good idea. We'll do that. Yeah, we'll build on to it. We'll give more people extra chance to enter if you haven't entered, and then we'll give it away. That is, if he does not contact us. So
that's correct. So hopefully he will, and he'll get a great pouch.
Yeah. All right. So he gets like 2 weeks, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Well, that was our show. Thank y'all for joining us. And our next show will be November 20th. And join us in.
All right. Take care, everybody.
All right. We'll see you.
Get that permission, put the coil to the soil, and we'll catch you next time right here on the Metal Detecting Podcast, brought to you by XP Metal Detectors.